Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. This is P. Francis Mcnichol. I am currently testing out the new phone and the video quality with two new, I want to say, very happy to do poems. I posted them on Facebook and I did a video there, Facebook Live. At the times, as it stands now, I have numerous friends, thousands of friends, and my friends in general are not the reading type or chime in on posted work. For the longest time, I was posting things and it was on the queue in Facebook, only me. And I changed it to public, and I was very proud of them. They were, I want to say they were perfect in my heart, and they just resonated. One of them I'll do first was Lady Brigid and her pet phoenix. And the story behind that is basically, as I open it up here, was basically that in old elementary school, lady that was a dancer way back when, 50 years ago, approximately, no less than 50 years ago. She was in elementary school. I was searching for returnable bottles and cans and eating out of a dumpster. I would crawl into dumpsters at Ravensworth Shopping Center, and my family being very, very poor, we didn't have a constant dinner schedule. I was very shamed about that because I was crawling out of a dumpster, and this lady with her parents escorting her in, all cute and petite and wearing tutus and her whole ballerina outfit with her hair in a bun, saw me, and I don't know how much she saw, but it was very embarrassing, and it's something that held over my head most of my life, and up until about 7 years ago. I joined a Facebook group, Kids of Ravensworth, where we both were raised in the elementary school we went to, where I received a very good classical education. I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of the, I want to say, harder intellect they instilled in us about literature and math in particular. The after school curriculum were basically, I want to say, through high school. In intermediate school, there was a lot of home ec. But in early high school, there was shop, there was music class, in elementary school, and every year we would sing "One Tin Soldier Rides Away." And I don't remember the music teacher, but looking back at it, she was on the liberal side, I'm guessing. But there were people that would play the wind instruments, like my sister before me, but she was already older then, and in high school, my older sister, but she was raised ever since a very young child to play the clarinet, and by extension, she could play other wind instruments. I don't know if she ever keeps up with it. She has a law degree. She got in basically a year and a half after finishing college, which took 2 years when she went back. She is a brilliant mind in her own right. However, I don't know what she did as much in high school other than 3 years of French, and then started studying, I believe it was German. It was really freaking like pre-college stuff, and that's how intelligent she was. And that classical education helped me, whether I got C's or D's or just barely passed by the skin of my teeth. But I enjoyed, I want to say, literature in general. And when I became a police officer after some years of college, I thought I could write. I thought I could write. I had the concepts down, anyways. And then when I study, I want to say more contemporaneously, um, I realized that back then, at least those seeds were planted. Because I have a conceptual mind where I can research something and understand the words and the verbiage. Old English, especially, I love the language. And I have a book that I research often. And I love the sequence of words. I love words and bringing back some archaic words that were just used, I want to say 60 years ago. And I allowed and I promote reading the 1966 Webster Dictionary. Read the whole reader of the dictionary first, every category there, and you get a great foundation on any SAT test. Okay, whether it's math, physics, geometry, I want to say algorithmic algebra, secretarial skills, literature and fine art, the most famous literary arts in history and who wrote them and about their time period when it came out. And it's just so much stuff about the states, about the capitals of each state, the population back then. You can get a good idea of our America that in 1966, a lot of people had a good foundation for education, but that was more contemporary, to use that word again. And I want to say it was thorough. And then when you have a good concept of that, especially the secretarial work and how you can itemize things and do proper headers, send proper letters, business letters, job applications, so on and so forth, you have a good idea of basically, I want to say, the more modern style books that have all that in there. We as writers have to learn and use techniques from that to be a professional writer with our document. That's why I say secretarial skills are something you should read in the 66 Webster Dictionary because it helps you so much. That different stuff about poems and the typical Shakespearean sonnet, so on and so forth. It doesn't go into everything about poetry. I don't want to say every little nook and cranny so you become an expert of poetry, but you have a great foundation where you can do it. And no one in the establishment or writer's field can debate you because of your education, and that being more original than even their education. And granted, some things change. Some things in a collegiate level change, as does culture in general. But that doesn't mean that you can't bring it back. That doesn't mean that you are incorrect. It means you have a flair about it, I want to say educated history, and you have the modern vernacular and syntax, and you have the past, and you can morph that with such great language skills and authoring skills, excuse me, that no one can argue with you. And if people, that got a modern education, they'll be like, where did that come from? And you'll be like, hey, it's English, it's history. Whether words or the sequence of words or writing it in a more flighty, ephemeral manner, more poetic verse. And it's funny, you get the spell checker on your phone and it guesses the word for you, so you have to go back and correct it once it's pasted, okay? Or posted and pasted, and then you go back and, do your corrections. And it makes sense. It makes sense, and those that read your work understand that, hey, that is off the beaten path, I want to say introduction, body, and conclusion to each sentence or each line or each single or each couplet. and you make it work, and it looks beautiful with your choices of words. So I am all for researching those words in 1966 that were phasing out, that were used for the previous 150 years in America, and incorporating them into modern dialectic and modern syntax and sequence. And I'm like, you can't argue with this. You can't argue with it. That is the beauty of making art with the digits. And it is a digital art, okay? When people make this graphic art, it's like easy satisfaction, so it's like people want it on hand, for instant gratification. And my point is, how come you're burning your brain out? How come you can't enlighten your mind with just the words that you speak every day? Okay? You may speak all kinds of different dialectic and syntax or what have you in different realms of your lifestyle. Okay? But why not be well-rounded and bring those words back that enrich us all? And the beauty is the mind makes up the imagery, because someone had that same imagery and they're espousing that picture. They're bringing to light that picture in a brilliant way. It's like there are some great authors out there and great poets. And a lot of them, I say this, and I don't mean to be rude, but a lot of them have English or literature and grammatical and punctuation talent. Okay, but they lack in the content, and so there's only assumption. Okay, when they write something, they use similar language, similar words, sometimes even similar sequence. So it's bordering on boring. It's bordering on something you would already expect, and something that's been heard a million times before. And for me, that is not me. Okay, I know I repeat some words that are tried and true. Some words don't have any other synonyms, and there's no other way to say it, like dream, for instance, the word dream. Breast. I don't want to say bosom unless I can put it in a rhyme scheme that is smooth and works. What are other ones? Brilliance, resilience. Let me think of some. Quagmire. Okay. Conspire and quagmire are words used often and in a rhyme scheme. How do you rearrange it so it's more unique? Because they're common words. And let me give you a few more examples. Xanadu. I never knew that Xanadu was an actual place in literature, but it's a reference to a utopia, and can be used colloquially now in our modern age. Bijou is basically like studded jewels. Okay, bejeweled, piqued, dalliances. And so with this reading this morning, I'm testing the new phone and seeing how long I can do a video responsibly. Okay, so it doesn't cut out on me saying something about storage and Google being the tyrants they are, who give all our information to China. I basically want to do this first video for YouTube because I already did these on Facebook, and I hope I speak better today than I did before, because like I said before, I shut the door so the fan is not too loud. I can hear myself talk for the most part, and I think it's a beautiful poem. But back to the lady that I was speaking about. She became a professional dancer, and with the kids of Ravensworth, how we were taught growing up was eclectic. It was multifaceted. It was what's the word for it? Other than eclectic, I don't know It was multifaceted with so many different historical uh, classes and events in those classes, giving us rise to a good, I want to say, imaginary or imagining youth and childhood, where we go to college, we know what we want to be as artists, and that is the foundation, that elementary, intermediate, and high school foundation. And she became a ballerina, world-renowned ballerina, and she is older now, same age as me, and so she's not doing ballets per se, but she still dances with some of her theater troupes. I don't know how it's done in the dancing world, but they set up engagements for theater where they do a dance show, and she does her own thing sometimes. I want to see it because it's going to be in Virginia in the summertime. And she messaged me on Messenger and said, "Hey, I thought of you. Can you do a poem?" And she wrote down a paragraph explaining everything. And I said, "Well, give me more about the Phoenix theme, the Phoenix topic, the Phoenix subject, because we all visualize some of these AI pictures, so to speak, or pictures of the Phoenix in a movie or something, or Flight of the Phoenix. And you look up the word, and it's like, okay, it's in our lexicon for the longest time, but do we really know what the Phoenix is?" Okay. And she told me what her dance routine is going to be. Plus, I think she has a painting with it. But there's going to be a poem on the brochure, okay, that coincides with her dance. So it's going to be like a three subject uh, prong of art when she does the dance. And there's going to be fiery flames, which are basically, I want to say, strips of like crepe paper going up with the wind blowing it up, so it looks like, fire, but it's safe. Okay. And you understand what I'm saying. And she described that, and she described her costume she will be wearing. And I thought about it. I was like, so a phoenix, basically. So I researched more about the phoenix, and I didn't get as much into the origins, other than most historians believe the phoenix montage and motif and belief system started with the pharaohs in Egypt. And I thought that was fascinating, but many other cultures around that time or right after, I want to say recorded history, has a similar belief about the phoenix type character. And then I studied some more, so maybe I did study more than I put on paper anyways. But there was always, in, I want to say, different cultures, a lady of fire, okay? And she is strong, and she was a god or a saint, or she basically came from bad, okay, and the ruins of what that society was, and she rose like a phoenix. She became more saint-like, so to speak, if not a mythical creature that would issue in positive. In general, it's positive. I want to say one of the characters I researched was a Brigid, the Celtic god, lady god of fire, poetry, healing. Excuse me. She's known as a 3-point goddess, they called it, where she's known for three main things. And there was a fourth thing when I researched later that said there's a fourth thing, I forgot what it was, but she was basically known for being the goddess of fire that gives us warmth and helps cook our food and keep us alive. And this is what really intrigued me, so I put her in my heart on paper, was she was the goddess of poetry, okay? Kind of like a Socrates or something, or Plutarch, you know. But then she was the goddess of healing. But the one that stuck out in my mind was the goddess of poetry. And I was like, yeah, that's wonderful. That is really cool. So I'm starting off this morning with a reading. Excuse my sinuses. It got cold. It was warm. Then it got cold yesterday. And I think some of the trees are trying to pop when they let go of that first burst of pollen. You can't see it really, but those little bulbs in the trees. Okay. I can actually take these off now. Okay. Lady Brigid and Her Pet Phoenix by P. Francis Mcnichol. For the spired tempest spins, the sequined pyre higher, unto true flames of blue, in a blazoned hearth afire. Embers conspire in quagmires of somber remorse, though tempers quell the torrent's knell, blisters hoarse. As its shone whim of wind peaks so sweet resilience, fan dalliances aglow flow deep heated brilliance. Looming lashes of travails fume, searing breasts within, as auburn skies avail a polished plume of flaxen satin skin. Wings of gold and emerald things stretch a fetching song. Mighty pierces of crowing fierce, where roars of spoils long. Upright in the mist comes the valiant bejeweled queen. When the tempest wisp subsides, and the gallant bow serene. Ashes of passion renew splashes of brimstone rising through, as the dreamy liege of gleaming bijou births seeds of Xanadu. The end. So I hope in general she can place that into her brochure with her dancing troupe. And to me, on paper, it looks beautiful. Me speaking does it no justice. But I was very happy and proud to write it and send it to her. And the only concern she had was, can the brochure put in so many lines? And I'm like thinking to myself, darling, you don't know P. Francis Mcnichol and his long poems are to be like story-like. You're supposed to sit there and enjoy it for a while, okay? I'm a purveyor, and I want to say I promote longer poetry because the words to me, English language is finite, but your research expands your view. Where you have so many words, there's always something there to describe that exact moment, that exact person, that exact feeling, that exact emotion, that exact interaction, that exact visualization of what that writer sees. You know, that's the human condition. That's the emotions we have. Okay? The English language is one of the largest ones. Okay? Total, like Webster, that's the great thing about Webster, 1966 dictionary in general. When I studied him, adding in more stuff with all the immigrants coming into America, he was beyond his time, because a lot of those words he documented in a regular English dictionary enlightened everybody, because there was new words we can use for the same thing. Okay, but there were different styles of food. Okay, but similar to other cultures that we absorbed already, and it meshed in pretty good. And you have all kinds of different flavors. I hate saying that. This is my flavor way of doing things. Oh, she got a certain flavor that I like. You know, when she dances and she sings, it's like, okay. So, anyways, that was Lady Brigid and Her Pet Phoenix by P. Francis Mcnichol. Let me reduce this, save. Okay. Now I want to make sure my next poem. I need to make some adjustments to it while you're here with me. Because I made some final adjustments on Facebook where I'm not touching it again. And I went over each line. I can explain it after the reading. And why some adjustments were made after quite a few looks, but knowing that it didn't sound, it didn't flow, and it was not to what I liked. I was like, no. Someone new that didn't know me on Facebook reads this, they're going to say, oh, that's cool. Part of my neighbors upstairs, sometimes they thump a lot. Okay. Some backdrop for this poem called Morse Code Lullaby of Davy Jones. I have a little bit of humor in my background, and I can be a satirist if I wish. I could be the Joker, too. I could be Two-Face. And I can also be the Riddler if I chose to be. I don't want to be the Penguin. Never the Penguin. But anyways, I'm Batman at heart. But anyways, I have comedy in me, and I could write jingles for commercials. I know I could. That would be more poignant and hard-hitting, and there would be some, I want to say, sexualization coming back in the commercials, like if it was a radio commercial, because we have a certain amount of humor to us. It could be or joking on a man. It could be anti-woman and joking on a woman, and not taking us too serious. So comedy, brings the customer in, the buyer in, the person who just wants to hear something different than sanitized DEI commercialism, that the corporations adhere to, okay? But they just overwhelm you with so much advertising, they know that they're going to make a bottom line eventually, and then they get mad at that when they do that, but not more. That's how greedy these bastards are. But I would love to be like some kind of talent agency where they, you need a writer to write a jingle. It's like, tell me the product and how long do we have on the air. That's all I need to know. But no one would take me up on it. No one would pay me good money. So anyways, I was reading a poem on one of the groups, and when they do this all thing, everybody that they attach it to gets it sent, and some of it is Spanish, and the translation is already done, so it looks nice and smooth, but there's no rhyme to it because of the translation being different words. But it looks like, okay, there's a little chop here that doesn't quite gel right, but otherwise okay. And so I just post my poems on there, okay, or I start writing a poem from scratch right there in the comments, because it spurns something. It could be the same topic. It spurns something, and I just, and then I add on to it in a different cue, a different field somewhere else. Sometimes I'll take the rough draft of that, or I want to say quarter or half of it, the total poem in totem poem, and I'll copy and paste it to an email field so I can see it, and then I start adding to it and polishing it. And then when I copy and paste back to Facebook somewhere, I'll put it right back in that comments. And yeah, will I leave it there, or will I make sure it's polished more? Yes, I copy and paste it and make adjustments as I go. However, the end product is really good because I see it on the phone, and I get to see it in different cues where it looks different in different cues. It's the same thing, but I can make adjustments better. And that's why I say whoever ever publishes and buys my rights to A Blood Red Sea and all the poetry I do, which is really fascinating. I said before maybe 500 or 460 pages. It's not that much. When I looked at my last copy, because I had many copies of it, I was sending it out on emails. It's 416. And so I know I'm above, and with all the poems I have not put on there, it would be closer to 500 pages easy. That much I do know. Okay. So, I started Morse code Lullaby of Davy Jones that way on somebody else's post where they did an all, and all these people were evidently alerted to his or her post. I believe it was a he, and I started this. Okay, and then when I realized what I want to do with it even more, instead of just sinking and drowning, I wanted to make it a little more flair. I knew I misspelled Morse. It's Morse, and I wrote it down Morris, and I believe it guessed for me, and I didn't even care at the time because I was working on it. And so I knew when I finally looked at it before going to bed, I was like, I'll fix it in the morning. So I polished it, posted it, and then there was two different corrections, or I want to say minimization, or making it clear in the sentence structure how I wanted it. And now this is what I believe is able to be published in a book professionally. And I can understand what people are saying. Oh, the editor wants never seen before stuff. Yeah, I understand that, but at the same time, not everybody knows how much is in A Blood Red Sea or where it comes from. And a lot of it is from the past that people have not seen yet, even when I haven't posted it, because it was on the disappeared, short for disappeared. That's what the title says, disappeared, because of the accent of the characters. There was poetry originally in there, and that is so old on Facebook, I'm almost certain no one can pull it up from 10 years ago plus. Maybe I stand corrected. But anyways, so I looked up Morse code just to make sure, because I knew it was Mors, and I forgot, and I knew the E might have been there, and it was like Morse. Was that right? God, it's been a while since I used that. And we all know the westerns where the guy is going and you got a telegraph line or something, and he's in some smoky podunk town in the Midwest, and there's about to be a gun battle or something, or someone got killed, so he's notifying the East Coast with that telegraph line. So you have Morse code. Okay, you have Morse code when someone is tapping SOS. It's in our lexicon. I get it. I don't know how each word coincides with the ticking, the sequence of ticking, but it's in our lexicon. We can understand it. So I wanted it simple, kind of like Davy Jones is an actual character that I studied, and he's mythical in himself, and they believe a real person that it kind of morphed from was a famous sailor that had to scuttle a couple ships, okay? And his ships, he said some reference to or someone said in reference to it, yeah, in Davy Jones' locker is where the person went because the ship sunk to the very bottom of the sea, and that person that died is no longer with us. So that person is lost down in the bottom of the sea. Theoretically, all the fish are going to eat you. I hate to tell you. So I was thinking about more like the ghost of Davy Jones. He's using Morse code for that lullaby to put you off to sleep, or for you not to worry when you're about to die, because you were following your sexual desires, listening to that siren theme we always love, that beautiful mermaid there on the rocks. It's like, yeah, if you see her, you're about to wreck and kill yourself. Okay, and then what is she going to do? She's going to consume you all along with your souls because you were thinking with your dick. So, this is the second poem. I'm doing a reading here. Morse Code Lullaby of Davy Jones by P. Francis Mcnichol. Excuse me, I hope you enjoy it very well. May the night coat sow such honey opium drowned in glee, and the moon befriend you in candy loss of laudanum tea. For where the sun rests, battles waged are seldom won, as twilight soothes the tranquil dunes of dreams that just begun. Sleep whispers in the ear, wisps heard without a fear, as deep oceans toss and turn within you, spurned, my dear. Sleep, sleep so sound, wishing restful comfort soon. To the lonely moon I weep, singing gaiety in a tune. Over the waves we roll, a brave slumber in the womb, paving the course we wade, no horizon, a maiden's doom. Swim as you sail, sparkling things a bounty's purse, through the dim in silken scrim, low vim left to curse. Riches come as witches sow, inlaid adamas on her breast, as riptides hum and eddies flow, braided rubies second best. Foundering in the swirl, bel canto and peal bells ashore, until gnarled fangs whirl, a scab in crab pots of boars. Oils pour as salves warm de jour, ease, be rest assured. But sirens sing of loving drink, immuring where so lured. The end. That was Morse Code Lullaby of Davy Jones, and I was just thinking, what if he is a real person, and he's known as Davy Jones to himself, okay? In real life, there was a Davy Jones, and he's a ghost. He's the one sitting there contacting you, maybe perhaps warning you while you're out on your ship, okay? Don't follow those things of lust. He's using Morse code, and that's him contacting you, letting you know that those sirens are out there. And it can be for a woman too. Those demons are out there for those women. So it's, I want to say figurative, metaphorical, and mostly true. All right, guys, so we're here at 40 minutes of this video. Should upload and be perfect. And I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to post both these poems on the narrative of the video upload on YouTube. And I thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed. Please share my videos away, and let other people join the writing field. Get them interested in actually reading, where their own mind is working positively and not just addicted to instant AI gratification. Okay, because they want us addicted to it, and what happens is it short circuits our brains from, I want to say, the lower levels of our brain that know serious stuff about defending us and what's right and wrong, in our outer brain that has more emotion and can think through those things. When those things start to get away from each other, that's where you have the brain frying, and I want to say negative neural pathways, okay, or neural pathways basically shutting down, and we lose more of our humanity that way. We lose more of our interaction in words and vernacular, and just sitting down and talking with someone and discussing something in a calm manner. I don't mean slang. I don't mean slang at all. I'm referring to all language and those wonderful vocabularies that we can learn from, and that's my point. Renaissance, resurgence in great English literature. So the early 21st century, people for 3 or 4 centuries from now are going to say, wow, you see all those great writers at the beginning of the 21st century? Where did all that come from? And then they're going to research more of the 20th century and say, wow, that was a very, very busy century, and I can see how a lot of people that did survive it, they lived to tell the tale, and that's where all that Renaissance came from. That's where all that education and, I want to say, spirit came from in general. God bless, guys, and please have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there.